So this whole series is really about us learning how to break into tech. Once you graduated, what was your first role? How did you essentially segue into the Facebook, billion-dollar Facebook company like Facebook?
So, in undergrad, I was tapped by a professor to work with the Philadelphia Eagles and Campbell's Soup. I don't know if you remember that campaign. It was like the chunky soup commercials or whatever. So I did that for a few months, and then I graduated, and I was like, I was actually contemplating working in the music industry, but if you remember at that time, the music industry was like dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
this was the 90s, right?
Don't tell people. Don't tell people. But Napster, was like on the scene, and basically labels were like laying people off. And so when it came to like figuring out how to be a creative at that time, it just made sense based on my experience to work at an ad agency.
Okay.
But very quickly, like after my first role, I was like, I just didn't want to be an account executive. Like I said, I needed to tell stories and narratives. And so what was happening at that time was that brands were getting really smart about their communication. It wasn't just about like these ads.
Right.
They were also creating branded entertainment.
Got it,
right?
got
and so
it,
that
okay.
that was like the advent.
And that's where the storytelling comes
Yeah.
in, right? That's where I think you were able to really show
Right.
like that transferable skill, right?
Right.
The fact
So that was
yeah.
like
Okay.
when brands started to like partner up with talent, with musicians
Right.
or actors, and create unique content experiences that was then pushed out digitally.
Right.
And they needed someone who had the production know-how, but then also the strategy aspect of it. So I kind of had a combination of both, having worked at an agency at that time, but then also
Right.
going to school for production.
Right.
And that's kind of just the career track that I started to take,
Okay.
and just focusing on branded content and entertainment for some time now on the agency side.
Right.
Before then transitioning to Viacom in the television world.
Got it. Okay. And I think so for our viewers, right, what we're trying to also understand is what are some of those like hard skills, Nana, that you use day to day? I would say, because when we think of breaking into tech, right, a lot of people have this idea you need a STEAM background, you need to learn how to code and all that. And I think that discourages a lot of people, not just women of color, but a lot of people from pursuing tech careers. So from your perspective, would you be able to like say like a few skills that you use day to day that are hard skills or soft skills that would you say are basically transferable across industries?
So first off, let me clarify that there are other roles outside of like
That's a good one.
engineering,
Yes.
you know what I mean,
Yes.
and coding, which I know nothing about.
Right.
You have what I do, which is I work in the creative shop,
Right.
specifically dedicated to working with brand partners to be their creative best selves on our platforms, right? And creating campaigns for entertainment partners, specifically like HBO,
Right.
Spotify,
Right.
the NFL, for example. And so within my specific role, some of the skills that are extremely valuable is being able to ideate, come up with the idea from scratch. And I'm not just talking like basic ideas, like really industry-leading ideas.
Cutting edge.
Yeah, cutting edge that sets us apart, that'll set a client apart from the pack. And then being able to pitch that out. So
the communication,
the communication
and the presentation
aspect,
skills, yeah.
Creating something visually to pitch it out, like mocks, presentations, standing in front of a room to be able to, communicate your ideas.
Yep.
Having the production know-how, right? So understanding what you're actually pitching, you can create realistically,
Right.
and building consensus within an organization.
Man,
so like
that is a huge one, like you
It
said,
is.
because a lot of times, even in corporate America, that's not tech, I would say, it's really difficult to work with people like who are not maybe for your agenda, or they
Right.
kind of have legacy environments and traditional kind of ways of doing things. So to be able to like convince someone buy-in that
Right.
this is something that is going to work, right?
Right.
For you day to
It's not
day,
even just having them buy in, it's having them feel like they have ownership in a project as well too, and being able to champion it on themselves. And so having that skill set and being able to go to different departments to also like you join the cause,
Yes.
I think is important. And then I just, from an analytical perspective, right? Because it's not just about the creative and the ideas. It's also like being able to substantiate it with data and with facts that this works and it makes sense.
So you do have to do that, right?
You do. So it's a little bit of art and it's a little bit of science, and the combination between the two is what makes a good idea great, right? And so, like as a creative strategist at Facebook, within the creative stuff, I think you just have to be super multifaceted, like a jack of all trades. But then I would say that there are other opportunities besides coding and what I do. Like you have analytics, right, and marketing science, insights. You also have partnership marketing, and so the relationship between a tech company and other partners, whether it's like influencers or AR companies, for example. So know that there are different avenues that you can travel to get to the same place.
Awesome. What advice would you give someone from the perspective of mentoring and networking? How important is that? Because a lot of times, I think for our viewers, there are a lot of women who have jobs right now, but maybe they're not optimizing that opportunity. And how do you grow in that role? And so I think mentorship and networking is very important. But from your perspective, how does someone do that? Or what are your takes on that? Like, how important was it for you, I would say, in getting into Facebook?
So, I would say networking is like invaluable, right? And for me, getting into Facebook, the process was through my own network. And so it was tapping into people that I already knew that were either connected to Facebook specifically or even like third parties. So like my friend who maybe knew somebody else who was in the company, right? And talking to those guys and saying, hey, can you make that connection? And having informational meetings just to learn about the company, learn about the team itself, and what would make sense in terms of how I would fit into the organization so that I know best how to position myself as I'm applying. I think that's incredibly important. Now, you might be somebody who may not have a network, or you go into your LinkedIn and it's like, I don't know anybody.
Right, LinkedIn, guys.
Right, and in those instances, I would figure out like what organizations you can join and to be part of to create that network, and not just as like an attendee, like figure out what you can provide as value to those organizations, right? Like what's your special gift, what's your skill, what's your talent, donate that. And through creating those authentic relationships, you'll find opportunities and areas to be able to make those connections, and for you to be able to make those bonds and figure out how to, basically connect to this organization or any tech organization.
Absolutely. So for you, what is the future of tech? I know that being a creative strategist, there's some secret sauce that you can't reveal right now, but for you, what is the future of tech, and how do you see aspiring professionals trying to align, like you said, showing their value? What can they do to show that, yes, I can be the future of tech, hire me, I have this skill? For you, what are those future of tech skills, I would say?
If I knew the future of tech, I would not be working here. I would be making money.
And it might just be what we're doing
not
right
that I'm
now.
Not making money,
might
but
be
like,
the present,
like I would be caking it like Zuck. But the point I'm trying to say is, I think the future of tech is, I chose to work here because I think this company represents those values, right? And where the future is going. Any type of technology that's able to make connecting to people and to the world easier, I think is the future of tech, and making the world a better place. And so Facebook tries to do that as an organization, day in, day out with its platform. And so I think any time a technology just enhances that, iterates that, makes it better, makes it easier, that's where I think the world is headed.
We just want to say thank you, Nana, for this time. I wish we had more time to talk, but honestly, like, women like you are very inspiring, not just for our audience, but for me. Nana, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.